Hi, I'm Fariba Choudhury, and this is my final portfolio video for COMP351 Ethics in Computing and Information Systems at Athabasca. So over the past several weeks, I've been examining a category of technology that has scaled very, very quickly in the last year, and that's AI-powered public safety information systems. So, why is this specific category of systems important? So, there are consumer applications that listen to public available police, fire, and emergency radio communications, transcribe them using AI, classify what they hear into incident categories, and then push out real-time alerts to users in certain areas about emergencies that are happening near them. So the prominent example of this is an app called Crime Radar, which is the study case at the center of this portfolio, and that's also Crime Radar is what I've been studying throughout this course. So Crime Radar has reached over 2 million downloads in 2025 alone, with 700,000 in a single month at the time of the BBC investigation, which is the article that I studied throughout this course. So we're not just talking about a niche product, we're talking about a system whose outputs reach millions of people in the United States alone in real time, and whose categories are being copied by other developers right now. So what makes this ethically distinctive is that these systems sit at the intersection of public safety communications, journalism, and automated decisions making, but they're not governed by any of the same editorial, professional, or regulatory frameworks that historically apply to these other domains. The article I want to talk you through is Celia Fraser's 2026 reporting on AI false emergency alerts in Boulder County, Colorado. So this was originally published in Colorado Hometown Weekly and then syndicated by Government Technology. So I selected this article because it does something the other coverage doesn't, and that is it doesn't just document the problem, it offers a structural comparison. So Frazier reports on 3 documented Boulder area incidents that in late January of 2026, Crime Radar told residents of Frederick, Colorado that firefighters were battling a downtown commercial fire, but there was actually no fire. The system had just picked up audio from a training exercise and mistakenly sent out a fire report to residents of that town. So in Longmont, the app published an alert about an apartment fire that had not actually occurred. In Boulder, the system reported that a firefighter had been taken to a hospital after a medical emergency. And this last incident is an important one to talk about and to dwell on, because Fraser got the actual technical explanation from Jamie Barker, a Boulder Fire Rescue spokesperson, and what had happened was the system had heard the dispatch term fire rider, which is shorthand for a firefighter who rides into an ambulance to provide patient care, and the system had rendered it as saying firefighter. So Barker's quote captures the issue here perfectly, in which they say it took information that it had heard incorrectly and then summarized it incorrectly, and then also made an assumption incorrectly, and then sent out that information publicly and alerted people incorrectly. So that's a description of how one compounding error can cascade through a multi-stage AI pipeline. Fraser also notes that the scanner only ever tells half the story, so dispatch communications are often incomplete and unverified before crews can even arrive on the scene. So there's a major data limitation that no amount of improvement to the AI can fix. So across all the sources that I reviewed, there are 4 ethical challenges that especially stood out to me. First, manufactured false certainty. The AI pipeline that converts ambiguous audio into confident sounding push notifications. The system doesn't just say that we think this might be happening and here's our confidence level. For example, it says there's a fire happening at this area in downtown. So as a University of Colorado Boulder researcher put it, people often assume that machines are less biased and more accurate than human beings, and this lends false authority to the system's mistakes. The stakes here are very real. The KYC in Cleveland reports that Crime Radar generated an alert about a firearms incident at Streetsboro Elementary School, but in reality, a student had just pulled the fire alarm. So in a media environment where false reports of school shootings can trigger lockdowns, parental panic, tactical police responses, and a whole lot of chaos, you can see how the symmetry of harm becomes very severe very quickly. So another challenge is the harm versus repair asymmetry. So the Fraser article quotes a Boulder police spokesperson noting that removing a false post doesn't actually clarify whether the event occurred. The academic literature confirms that corrections never reach everyone who saw the original report. So this is a pipeline that can broadcast instantly but not effectively retract those false announcements. Thirdly, this is a design choice, not an inevitability. So the same Fraser article describes how a competitor system, Nextdoor's SamDesk alerts, they faced similar accuracy problems and responded to added verification layers, human oversight, and a flag and correct mechanism for local agencies, but Crime Radar didn't. So the contrast is the most important finding in this portfolio. Is a different architecture is technically feasible, as we can see what Nextdoor's SamDesk alerts did, but the decision to omit human review in and of itself is an ethical position that Crime Radar has chosen to take. And lastly, the second order consequences. So volunteer scanner feeders provide that the voices that come through in the radio reference forum discussions reports that agencies in their regions are now moving toward encryption in direct response to Crime Radar's behavior. So a system designed to make public safety information more accessible is, through its own unreliability, accelerating the disappearance of the very public data sources that journalists, researchers, and community monitors have historically relied on. Okay, so my ethical position and my closing position is, after reading through this case, AI-powered public safety alert systems as currently designed are not ethically feasible. The problems are not just technical bugs that further improvements can fix. They flow from very small number of architectural choices, one being full automation without human review, confident classification without an uncertainty channel, and instant distribution without effective retractions. And these are three just very major issues surrounding this. The academic literatures that I drew on for this portfolio, particularly the Nasir and colleagues 2024 review and Frontiers in Human Dynamics, makes it clear that accountability in algorithmic systems requires a combination of technical mechanisms, regulatory frameworks, ethical principles, and stakeholder collaboration to make this kind of product work. Crime Radar has none of these. The Nextdoor comparison shows that they are achievable, they just choose not to do that work. So what's missing isn't just technical capacity, it's the commercial incentive that's missing here. The broader lesson I'm taking away from COMP351 is that whether a technology is permissible in the abstract, so it turns on the specific design choices made during implementation, and who bears the cost of these choices, and whether affected parties have any meaningful voice in shaping those choices. So thank you for watching. These are my references, and that's all for now. Thank you.